Let's check a review for this game. This game is not something to be completed. It is something to be experienced. It is the single most beautiful game I have played because of the way it made me feel. You cannot review that. It's called Journey, and man, does it live up to its name. I don't know, guys. Do you think this guy likes this game?
Probably.
Welcome to the game playlist. My name is Akshan, and my favorite desert is the Nevada desert because it's rocky.
My name is Sashan, and I guess I'm gonna take the biggest desert on planet Earth, Antarctica.
Very smart. Very smart.
Smart. My name's Anuk. I like ice cream as my dessert.
Hilarious. And thanks for taking my answer. My name is Delanta, and my favorite desert is. What's the hottest one?
Sahara?
Sahara.
Sahara.
Is it the Mojave? Something like that?
Oh,
Mojave Desert?
well,
You fill in the blank. The hottest desert on Earth. That's my favorite.
you can Google it at home, and that's Delanta's answer. So, today, we're talking about today's game, which, first off, welcome to the podcast. If this is your first podcast. Every month, we pick a game, we play that game, and boom, we talk about it here. This month, the game we picked is Journey, and by we, I mean Sashan picked it. Sashan, tell us about the game.
Fine. So, bit about the game. It is an indie adventure game developed by Thatgamecompany, and it was originally
Which one?
Haha.
funny. It was originally launched on the PS3 in 2012, and then it was ported over.
11, 12?
It was ported over to the PS4 in 2015 and came to PC in 2019. So nearly 5 years ago, it made its way onto PC, which is how we were able to play today. Many people that have played this game have called it a moving and an emotional experience, and it has also made it one of the greatest video games of all time, according to some people. It was crowned the best game of the year by IGN and GameSpot and a bunch of other places, and it's also won a lot of other awards and been nominated for a whole bunch of other stuff. And a bit about the game. In Journey, you control a robed figure that spawns in a desert, and your objective is to travel towards the mountain that you see in the distance with like a glowing light. And while playing the game, you can also discover other players on the same journey as you, and you can play together to reach your destination. But unlike most other multiplayer games, you can't really see your partner's name, and you can't communicate with them in any way. The only way that you are able to communicate with your co-op partner is through these small little musical chimes that your character is able to make, which is also an ability in the game that helps you progress and complete the different levels. So yeah, that's a brief overview of our game today. Journey, indie game of the year of what, 2012, 13, something.
2011, 2012, something like that. Samuel Jackson was the one who gave that award.
Yeah.
Spike Video Game Awards. Yes. And it was, I think, one of the first indie games to be nominated for Game of the Year back in the day. Anyway, so let's talk about the game. First off, let's talk about the port. As you said, it went over from PS3 to PS4 and now on PC. When I started the game, I went into the options menu and said, "Oh, check my system for like auto detect system stuff and auto put the stuff." So I put everything on ultra for me, and then my main menu was stuttering. I had frame lag in the menu, so I immediately went in and changed.
The main menu required
changed it
your
up.
intense GPU tasks.
Yeah, I have an i9 on here, and it's stuck.
All right, big flexer. Let's go.
I need to mention that. I need to mention that because
hey man, the only person who can flex is Xenoflex.
True.
But
the reason I want to mention that,
anyway,
reason I want to mention that is because the port is good. It's just I think there's some optimization things on like with the game that could have been better. It's good though as it is.
I thought it was
I
ported by I thought it was ported by Santa Monica Studio, and I was like, what? But then I think it was actually ported by a smaller. I think Santa Monica Studio did Santa Monica Studio. For
the
those of you who don't
distribution.
know, I believe they're the developers of God of War now, right? The God of War
Yes. Yes.
reboots. So I thought they did the port, but no, I think it was they did some additional work for the PS4 version, and then it was ported by someone else.
Okay. Either way, good port as far as I'm aware. Nobody complained about it.
Sorry, menu good port. Yeah.
Except your main menu.
I mean, well, yeah, I think like some weird optimization stuff with it. Anyway, all right. So, any bugs encountered? I don't think there really were, as my experience was.
Not really.
Hard to say because
Because it might
Nothing,
have been, you might have been like,
nothing
there's a
game
feature.
breaking. Nothing game breaking, if that's
Yeah,
what.
nothing ruined the game. Nothing
Yeah.
ruined the game. Yeah. So this game is stamp of approval, bug free.
I wouldn't go that far. But
Well, that aside, I would hope it is bug free at this point. It's how many years old? 12?
It's 5 years old from the port. This is like 15 years since the game maybe
Yeah.
came out.
yeah,
Actually, not
5
15.
years since support.
But yes.
Yeah.
It's over a decade, meaning that now we can start calling it a classic.
Yay.
And is it? Let's find out at the end. Graphics. This game is a very pretty looking game. Very, very pretty looking game. What did everyone feel about how pretty this game looks?
It was pretty.
Somewhat drunk.
It was pretty. Yeah. I mean,
Say anything else
Good
other than
one-
that? Like it.
The one thing I want to mention, when I started the game and I looked at the character, I was like, "Isn't this the Forlorn from Last Campfire?"
It all makes sense. Everything is
technically, this would have inspired the Fallout, but yeah.
Yeah. So I have a feeling they were inspired by this game,
And-
most definitely.
If you don't know who the Forlorn are, maybe you should listen or watch Last Campfire episode. Learn more about
which
the
was
Forlorn,
also my pick.
Yeah.
which is also
Also
Seshan's pick. So you know what Seshan's preference is.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that character in Bear and Breakfast.
Stay tuned to watch that
alright.
one.
But like in terms of the
Yeah.
graphics section, like it looks pretty, but like I guess you can't really say much because the environment and the characters are so not
Vibrant.
plain, but like minimal. I'd say
It's minimal. Minimal. It's got a minimal style,
Yeah.
but it's very like it's a lovely color palette that they chose for the whole thing. Your
Mm.
character stands out, but doesn't
Very
like
much,
because it's red in color. It's a nice color. It
Yeah.
feels hot, like the world, and until you get to the cold sections where it feels blue, feels cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very pleasant to the eyes throughout the whole thing, and then later on, it gets a little bit more like intense, and it really feels that way. It's very, very pretty looking game, but that's
Mm, yeah.
not the main reason people love this game because there's a lot of pretty looking games that people don't love. 1911 something. There's a game like that. 1899 or something. Let's talk about then the movement of the game, which is what you'll be doing throughout the game, the responsiveness, the movement, and uh, well, not really. Who used keyboard? Who used controller? I believe Anuk.
I'm the only one who used the keyboard.
Yeah. Controller.
No,
yeah.
I think the rest
I
of it-
use the keyboard as well.
Oh, you use the keyboard as well? Okay. So both
Holy
two keyboards and
baloney.
two controllers, I guess.
Two controllers.
Yeah.
Jananta, you wanna go first?
I mean, the keyboard experience is all right. Can't no.
It works.
It works. Yeah, it works fine. So I'm getting
Do you
used.
use the mouse to look around still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was
Alright.
no input as far as I saw. So
It was nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, you didn't have a what's the word? A in GTA 5 you play it on keyboard. It's like weird, like the responsiveness of the keyboard.
I mean, that is because the game is made like that, not like the.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're
know. So
talking about
that wasn't here.
the
That
gameplay.
wasn't here in this game. Basically, is what I'm
No,
asking.
No,
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 no. I
not in
don't
the
think you
It
have
felt
that
very
kind of.
responsive.
I don't think you have that kind of responsiveness in any other games that I've seen as of now.
Yeah.
GTA 5 is like the only game that has that sort of movement style, I guess.
Rockstar.
where it's the most noticeable, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like you said, like you were saying, Akshay Rockstar.
Rockstar style of game
Yeah.
making is very animation first and then gameplay second. Yeah. Controller, me and Seshan on the controller. It was built for the controller, so it was very nice.
Can imagine.
Could you all
Never
feel the movement and everything?
could we feel like the controller vibrates.
Like the sand moving and everything, like underneath your feet. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Look at
In
it,
order to
imagine
immerse myself, in order to immerse
Huh?
myself, I went to the beach and
No,
I
no,
played this game
I
on the beach.
understand. I understand what you meant, Anuk. It's more like it feels like you're putting in effort to walk.
Move. Yeah, it does. I feel like I was unnecessarily pushing the controller forward harder.
Ah,
Than I
yeah.
was
Yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to.
So you
Oh,
actually feel like you're actually in the game.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
like, oh, come on, move, you bastard.
Well, that's actually that's nice.
It was a very weird experience, and I don't really know how that works.
They must have had some feedback, so like
It's
movement.
very good. It's very good animation for the movement and stuff.
Yeah.
It really felt like my finger was the character, the thumb that was moving out of place. Oh god. I the
Yes.
it was a
yeah.
bit unclear when I could climb a ledge or not. That's probably like I'm looking for things to talk about because it's a very 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 small game. It's about 2 hours long. Yeah,
You're talking about
for everyone.
movement, right?
Talking about movement. Yeah,
And they gave it a
Mm,
shot.
I feel like places that are meant to be climbed are anywhere like in most
Telegraph.
It is kind of obvious sometimes, right? Because there is always like
yeah.
I don't know what it's called in the game, but like those scarf like things which lift you
Yeah.
up and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I
Yes,
think
yes, yes.
those are placed pretty well. I can't say I ever got to a moment where I was like, what do I do? Where do I go?
It
It was
doesn't. It
I
does.
very
think I'm more thinking about the ledges literally, like when I have no scarf to get.
Yeah, it's like
Let me climb.
the stepping.
Oh, right. So like where you auto kind of like an auto jump, right? Where you just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, right, okay, fair enough.
But even those are, I feel
Yeah.
like, placed in a way that you know
Oh, you can jump
what
here.
is climbable or not.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It's not a problem. Let me just say,
Yeah.
not a problem. This is me looking for problems, and this is the best thing to do. It's really not. It's really not a problem. It's decently intuitive. The whole game.
Mm.
All right. And
We're talking about movement. The flying is the next one.
yeah, the flying would be the next part. Like when you come across things that give you scarf power, you can use scarf to go through the air.
You have to go move.
Through the air, yeah. And if you have a co-op partner who is very like who works with you, you can just go flying infinitely through the air.
Yeah.
Very lovely experience, which we'll get to in a bit more into.
Do you like the
Uh,
flying
the,
mechanic in this?
I think it was difficult enough that it never felt like I was just pressing a button and I was like, oh, it's doing the thing. But it was not so difficult that it was frustrating.
Yeah, I think it was like
You
an
get what I
easy
mean?
balance of like difficult to not difficult, but like a little tough to get used to. But once you are used to it, it's easy.
Yeah, it felt rewarding once you were like, oh, I'm a pro at this, bro. You
Yeah.
know?
It's like
Yeah.
each level is like it's like a step curve in where like there's the learning difficulty like goes up just by a little, but the moment you overcome it, you're able to do it a lot. You're able to do them a lot easier, and by the end of it, you're like pretty much pro with how to do the
You become a
flight
parkour
mechanics.
master.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
become parkour master. Speaking of parkour masters, people that you play with, can I just ask? Can I just ask who did you get? Not their names, but like what kind of people did you get?
I got Sashan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, no. So me and Anu played together on our last playthrough. That I did that. We did that intentionally for an achievement, which I'll cover later. But I think I had a total of like I played with a total of 15 people.
wow.
Yeah, and like there were a whole different variety of them. Some
Yeah.
were some were going on ahead to like do their own thing. They seemed like they had things they wanted to do by themselves. But a lot of them were like sticking around for the journey.
Yeah. I really like how this game has no chat function, no way to communicate besides the little boops and beeps. And you still felt like there were personalities behind each person that you encountered.
Yeah.
You could do Morse code with them. Then they will just like reply back with
I would have never gotten that if they were trying.
I can imagine just
I would,
someone Morse coding to you, and
and I'm
you're
just
just
like,
like,
I'm
"Wow."
beeping. All right, I'm beeping.
Then Akshan just
beeping.
Morse goes back in filth.
Uh, the first guy I got looked like he was like rushing through the game. Like he was like
Yeah.
he was like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, and I was chasing behind him like, wait for me, and he was just go.
Who
I don't
knows?
think so.
Maybe we did end up matching with like
No,
someone else.
you
You
would
would have
have
seen
seen
the
the name.
name.
Yeah.
Wait, you?
At the end, yeah,
At the end, you
at
see
the
their
end,
Oh, you
names.
do? Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
you
didn't
skip the
know.
credits, didn't you? You alt F4 after the game ended.
Finish the game, all F4, delete the
Yeah. Oh
game
no,
instantly.
I saw part of the credits where I noticed one cool thing, and that's about it. But
Okay.
I don't remember seeing
Can't
names.
believe
So.
this. Can't believe this. And then the second guy I got was very friendly, very friendly. Always waited for me. Like we were doing it together. And then at the very end, he had to leave, and he did. He let me know by just beeping constantly, so that I get a full bar, and then he left.
No. I was
It was very nice.
really annoyed because like I knew going into this that there was an achievement that required you to finish the entire game with someone, and so like
Yes.
the parts up until the last level I was with this one person, and we were playing for like about 15-20 minutes at that time, and then like we reached like
Mm.
what I thought was the last level, which by the end of by the end of it I knew it was, and he left me. He was just like he just like did the
Peace
kneeling
out,
thing and
bro.
was like, "Peace out, bro." I was like, "No, you're gonna leave me to go on this journey alone."
I I I was at the last level alone, and then someone joined, and I was like, "Oh, friend!" And then I got hit by an enemy, and he just stared at me and left again.
Like this useless person, I'm leaving.
I finished my game with someone.
Uh,
The game followed me till the end. Yeah.
I had it for like 2 minutes. But yeah, the co-op element is cool. I like it quite a bit. It's and into the main like the themes of the game, it applies a lot, which we'll get into later.
but like,
That's my
I have a
opinion.
question.
hmm?
Did all of you all finish for your first playthrough? Did you all finish with someone else?
No,
No,
I did.
So you all did finish the game with someone else.
I finished alone. I think Delanto's the only one that finished with someone else.
Okay.
I
Akshan?
think I would have. I wanted to try and play it again at like midnight, like late at night, so that I would get more of the what do you call Western crowd playing at that time. So maybe I could play with more people. But no, I didn't get it with a person.
Apparently, to change your download region if you want different people from another server.
Gosh darn.
Yeah.
So,
Why do you ask, Anu?
That's why one of my guys
No,
was
this
named
one I don't
Vega.
know. Because I
if you're
guess I
asking
thought
if
you.
there's a difference, I didn't personally notice like a difference finishing with. Well, I only played it once, right? So
Mm.
No, even when I played with Sashan the second time, there was no difference because I
There
only
is no
finished.
difference.
At the ending.
No,
Yeah.
there's no difference.
Yeah, I
Same
think
thing.
I think that's meant to be more like part of the game where it's like you can finish it even alone, like completely alone. You can do it. It's
Yeah.
because like sometimes if there is like in most co-op games, if you're reliant on another player and like it's random, then they have a chance to sabotage. Like
Yeah.
this game is avoids that problem by just having your co-op partner just be a companion rather than a what you call it.
A troller.
Not a troller, like rather than like a necessity to finish the game, they're just there for the journey. Is
Those
what it
Junkrat
is.
players.
Just the Junkrat players.
So he jumped in. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not offending anyone. No one plays that game.
Uh,
So we'll go into more in about the themes of the game and how they play into the game itself. Let's go into music. We should have done this with graphics actually. Music and sound design. Uh, music. Music was again pretty music, right?
this
Pretty music, yeah.
For me,
Pretty music.
I feel like it's like
Grammy nominated soundtrack. So
it is a Grammy
Makes
nominated
sense.
soundtrack.
but it
Makes
felt like
sense.
it wasn't really. It's just music that you hear
Yeah,
while
it's
playing the
ambient.
game.
It's
It's
ambient
ambient
music.
music.
it's
It's not like a
ambient, yeah.
music
Very good one.
you can wipe to even after playing the game. Like
Well, here's I agree with you, but I don't think that's a bad thing for the music
Not a
itself. I
bad thing.
think that
Not a
yeah,
bad thing at all.
that's
It's
not bad.
just
It's not a bad
yeah.
thing. It's just
I think it
yeah,
allowed the game to be more immersive.
yeah,
It
it's
worked. It
it's
worked with the environment of the game.
the music serves the game very very well. It doesn't really work when you listen to it on its own, but with the game it works
Yeah.
splendidly. Especially the end, like when you get to the ending and it swells, it's lovely stuff.
And like
Sound design.
yeah, even that, like just the characters, the creatures, the chimes, boops and beeps, they're all like
Yeah,
what was
It
the
works. It works.
it
it works very well.
it had like a sense of mystery everything.
Yes. Because some of these things were otherworldly, and it's always interesting seeing what an otherworldly thing sounds like a lightsaber. Who knows what a lightsaber sounds like until you hear it, and then you're like, oh, cool. So some of the things in this, like the carpet creatures that flies about, or the whatever that thing with the eye.
Yeah, I think the moment I noticed the sound design and the music really take a hold and like have a real effect on me was in the underground level where like it low key turned
Yeah.
into a bit of like a horror game,
Yeah, lighthearted horror.
light-hearted horror.
Light-hearted horror game.
Yes.
I
Speaking of
think
lighthearted horror, you can
sorry.
check out our next episode of Happy Song. But anyway,
That's not until October.
Not until October, thankfully.
anyway, Anand?
No, I feel like the sound was not directional sound. Like if say for example, if you're moving, say the guy you're playing with is in another part of the map, but you couldn't really hear the beeps at the back of your earphones. Rather than it's just
Behind.
it just felt like it was in the
It's not surround sound.
yeah, it's not directional or surround sound. Yeah, it's very
I
mono.
I'm
Not sure.
guessing that's purely just based on when it was developed. I mean, I don't think a lot of games
I'm pretty
in
sure
that
a lot of
period
games
No,
had surround
no,
sound. Probably not.
yeah, no. This was around the time The Last of Us was going to come out.
they didn't have surround
No,
sound at that time.
I think
Sound
games would have
design.
started getting it like in the years like after, but I think for that particular one, it wasn't
That's
really.
actually an interesting point. I don't know because I feel like even playing an older game, they probably added surround sound if it was added, like playing it now. So I don't actually know how to whether surround sound was a thing back then. Although to be fair, if surround sound was a thing back then, wasn't a thing back then, they would have added it now since this is the port. So I think it's not really an age thing. I think it's
But
probably
like
just a choice.
even then, like
Yeah.
I feel like the option to not have surround sound in terms of the in terms of your co-op player might have been intentional because I think they have a visual cue.
They do,
They have
but
a,
it also would be
They do
nice to have it, a sound.
I know what you mean, but then I have a feeling that it was an intentional choice just to avoid spamming.
Either way, you're spamming.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a difference between like like
We,
the the the
I mean,
communicative spamming versus the
even if you still are okay, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I feel like regardless, spamming then surround sound or even normal is still the same. Like you still hear the sound regardless. No, but it's okay.
I mean I don't know. It didn't really feel off to me though. Did it feel that
It's
way
not
to
off.
you?
No, it's not off. I feel like it would
It's
have
not
made the
bad.
game a little better visually and sound wise. Like the
Mm.
visual aspect was already at its peak for my interest, but
Okay,
the
maybe
sound was
maybe
not
maybe
its
think about
best
it like
for it.
this, right? Like I feel like I know what you mean, but I'm remembering the playthrough me and you had, right? Remember how there were moments that I didn't know where you were?
Yeah,
I feel like it, they might have removed certain elements, including the audio thing, just so that your like the two characters or the two players are closer in proximity. Like you're a bit more, what's the word? Mindful of where your player two is, if you get what I
Also,
mean.
I think there is directional sound because I just remembered I started the game as well just to see.
Yeah, I know. I just saw the notification pop up. I was like, what is he doing?
But I remember. Do you know that? You probably do. But you've seen from the mountain people who have completed their game are flying over you, like the
Yeah.
sound like a meteor going over. That is, I remember that being directional because I was like looking towards it, and like when it was here, it was like on my left side. I was like, oh, it's over there, and then I turned towards it and it filled up my sound because it was directional. So I think there is directional sound design.
I think it just omits the second player.
Maybe for the second player, maybe.
have to see again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, we're gonna stop the podcast. We're gonna play this
No,
again. We'll be back.
no, we're not.
All right. So, sound design. Sound design's good. We have some questions about directional input. We'll figure that out one day. Put it in the comment section. Level design and mechanics. This game is split up into kind of. It's linear. This game is a linear game. However, it feels like an open. Each section that you get to feels quite open, and you see that what you have to go to, but it never feels like it's telling you go there. It feels more like here's the opening, explore as you will, and naturally you feel like going to where it wants to go to. It's very good game design in my view. The level design more.
It's linear but open.
Yes,
I don't
it's
know what you call
like
that.
Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2. It never tells you where to go, but at some point, just through exploring, you go where it wants you to go
Yeah.
without really feeling like I have to go here. It feels more like, yeah, okay.
Mm.
It's not an open world. It's just open.
It just feels open,
And I
like
feel
all
like
the
it's
levels feel open.
directional. Its way of directing players also is very good.
Yeah, because it tells you that mountain, go. Look at that
Yeah,
mountain. You want
because
to go
like
there?
Mountain is your North Star, yeah.
yeah, because like in each and every level, like it's the mountain that's in the background that's sort of like the center focus of like everything that
Yeah,
like.
it's always there. It's always there to let you know, hey,
Mm,
look at that interesting thing out there. Everywhere around you, just desert. Look forward. Look at that. Cool.
mm, interesting.
It is cool. Uh, It's good level design, and each level has a little bit of a gimmick for each sort of section. First, it just teaches you how to make things, make cloth happen. Later on, you meet like little animated objects, like the carpet guys I said earlier.
Mm.
Uh, any thoughts on those? Any thoughts on those elements of the levels that you come across?
Not
It's
really.
I'm trying to think whether like from like the tutorial, there wasn't really anything that showed you how to
Play
get
the
things
game.
done. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all very intuitive
yeah.
and
Dark
like
Souls.
and so much so that even new mechanics felt easy to understand because like
Comprehend.
because the
Really, a lot of new mechanics, right? It's only, if at all,
Jump and get the.
jump, fly.
no, so there's like the you get to like climb up those like there are like those vertical cloth things that you have to kind of like swim through.
But I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that
That's
was
still
same
just
mechanics.
flying, right? I mean, not
Yeah,
It
flying,
is
but
but
like
flying, but
but
it feels
still,
like a different mechanic. It's sort of it feels like a different mechanic. It doesn't feel like your normal flying. It feels like
mm,
whoop. It's like a
Yeah. Fundamentally, you're still using the
yeah.
same mechanic of using the clouds to go up and up, down.
it is, but when you're playing the game, you feel like it's a different
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
mechanic.
true. Yeah.
Then it's just like very minor changes that if you look at it like from a overall perspective, yes, they're like all the same thing in a different like a different variation of it, but like it each level makes it feel a bit unique. Like I didn't feel like the level was and the level design was boring. Like even though the
Yeah,
change in the mechanic was so slight.
yeah. I remember the distinct areas very well, even though they're all almost all of them are just sand with extra things.
Mm.
It's very good game level design, very good game design in general.
This game
Flaws
is
be
it confuses me how it can be so simple and yet so
so good, so
complex.
magnificent. Yeah, it is very subtly smart with its level design. It's not obvious why it's good.
Yeah.
It is really good.
Oh.
Um, yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
and
the only new mechanic is again that underground section with the guardians and
yes,
the last level count with like the snow and the wind. I wouldn't really call it a mechanic, but more like a it's
That's
part of a
just the
level.
obstacle,
gameplay.
It's a level
obstacle.
obstacle, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like those are
Yeah,
the only
yeah,
two new additions. Yeah, other than that, like everything else is pretty much the same. And also like swimming through whatever the thing was in that light pillar place.
yes.
yeah. It's fun swim through.
It was a new mechanic because like I was also confused. Like, what is this thing that's rising and why can I swim infinitely in it? But yeah, I think other than those three, everything else is pretty much variations. But yeah,
Yeah,
good level design.
it's very good level. Yeah, yeah, extremely, extremely so. Uh, it's also I don't think I was ever frustrated with the game in a way that it wasn't intentional. Because the last level is kind of frustrating, but it feels like that's the point.
Yeah.
You found the last one frustrating. You're talking
Like
about
it's intentionally
flying
frustrating. Like
through the
Because
no, no,
flying
no,
through and stuff.
no. One before that. Sorry,
oh,
The snow level.
Yeah.
snow level. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
snow
yes.
levels. Snow levels is the most frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. But it's very, very
Honestly,
intentional.
though, I the only frustrating part I feel about is okay, you get pushed back, but even after your first few pushbacks, you kind of figure out how to.
Yeah, you
Personally, I
do,
feel
you do,
like
you do, you
No,
do.
yeah,
that's the problem. That's not the problem. It's like you get. It's just so like towards the end of where you are supposed to go. Right, there's one part where you like slow. Right, if you don't have anyone else with you, you get infinitely slower.
Yeah.
If you go
Yeah.
alone,
Although you do learn to like stand behind certain things or inside certain things in order
But
to not.
like it also feels a bit psychological that you kind of intuitively know it's the last level because
You kind of do, yeah.
before you reach the snowy area, the cutscene is a lot more.
it tells
Finite.
you. Yeah.
It tells you, yeah, it tells you that this is the last stage before you reach the tip of the mountain, and like you know it's the last stage, and like you know you're so close, and it's even more frustrating that you're being held
Slow.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, and so I think that's a good transition to let's talk about the story. Let's call it the story. The story, the themes, the vibes of the game. Uh, and I guess spoiler warning, but we have sort of spoiled a few things. However, I don't think us spoiling it in words is going to ruin your experience when you play it. So just play it. I recommend you just go play it.
Yeah.
If you,
Oh, I guess we know what your answer is going to be.
bada bing, bada poo. Let's talk about the story. The story is quite
I would say Akshan,
simple.
instead of us instead of like you saying anything about it, I would
Oh, I'm not saying anything about it.
I was gonna suggest that like everyone basically explains what they thought they understood.
Oh, all
Oh,
right,
this is
all right. Well,
dangerous. Okay.
the story is quite simple, but it's also quite abstract in its like what it's the details of it. This game is not a what's the word? Red Dead Redemption. It's not like gritty, realistic. Like here's all the details. Here's the law. It's very it's decently abstract with its details. But there's still a story to it, and there's no dialogue. There's no words except until the credits. So oh, sure, let's go around. Let's go around and around the campfire and discuss what what the story is to everybody. Everybody. Let's start with me since I'm talking. The story. The story.
I'll go last because like I also read up a few things. So like
So you have hidden the law.
yeah.
So the story of this game, from my perspective, from what they reveal every single time you finish a level, it reveals a little bit more of the story. There was some light on this mountain thingy from the stars, and it sort of coalesced to the core of the Earth, of whatever the planet this is, and then these little thingies sort of came out of that and were like, hey, let's look at this, we have a tree, we can make trees happen. And then you have a pipeline of light power, water supply, but it was light. And then these little guys, I honestly I don't know what happened, but then one of these it's sort of like a rite of passage for all of these little guys to go to the mountain, and so that's what the journey is, and that's why you encounter all these other people like co-op players, because it's a journey that multiple creatures of these take uh, to get to the light of the mountain. Scooby Doo.
Mm.
And many have died along the way, because when you get to the end there, you see there's so many corpses at the not corpses, the tombstones, like gravestones at the very end. And so it's sort of like a premonition of what will happen to you if you don't make it up there.
Okay, interesting. Bilanta.
Okay, so I only kind of got like it's a very small bit, so I hope you don't mind. The only
Yeah.
thing I got from this is it's kind of like a journey to
Oh,
almost to heaven. So like
Okay.
the top of the
oh yeah, I
mountains,
can get
like
that.
it is supposed to be like heaven, and it's your journey through like life towards
Yes.
reaching that peak. But there's also an element of reincarnation because in the end,
Mm.
during the credits, which I definitely watched,
Mm.
you can see your light going backwards, right,
Yeah.
and starting the whole journey again.
Oh,
So that's reincarnation. So
oh,
that's like
okay. I don't think you're starting all over again. Now that you've said that, maybe you are. But
fluff me, I guess. All right, okay.
no, but I'm just realizing the light came from the stars, right? And it powered this sort of civilization. Maybe
Mm.
that light is over, and the creatures go to the mountain to die, but their light is restored and is restoring the rest of their civilization back home. So it's sort of like a cycle that these creatures go on to keep giving like power to their civilization. That's why he goes back as a piece of light.
Hmm.
Anyway, you
That
just
makes sense. Makes sense.
so
No,
it is heaven. It is their
that was
heaven.
it. It's essentially like your journey to heaven, and also an element of reincarnation where you come back and start again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, no?
I feel like okay. I try and keep this short, but there is these red little cape dudes who are a part of a civilization that, like Akshan said, they use light as their power source to power items, either being machines or uh, structures and stuff. But there was some sort of a conflict, and these other machines, bigger machines, started fighting them over this power source, I guess. And then there's this white, tall, cape dudes who are also a part of the bigger civilization, or maybe are gods of the civilization that help you guide your way towards the mountain, where you, I guess, end your journey as a
Hmm.
part to become a part of the gods, or maybe
Out of
just
the heavens, whatever
part of the
this.
heavens. I don't know. Maybe just to be something better than the civilization.
You ascend. Oh, you ascend essentially in some way.
Okay. So
Mm.
that was interesting to me because all of you all had a different take on it than what I have. and and the thing is that like the stuff that I read up and like other people's the videos that I
Interpretations.
saw, it's like a lot closer to mine. Like I'll mix the two and sort of explain. Like
You know what that means, Sashan?
what
We three are unique.
okay,
oh,
okay.
But
Uh,
innovators. Anyway, I'm joking. I'm joking.
so the what it takes a bits and pieces from what everyone else has said. So it's the fact that the mountain is supposed to be this sort of higher being or like a god, and that's like the source of like the source of like the world's like the creatures and like the crops and stuff, and even the little white the little white robed people like came from the mountain, and they use the mountain's powers to like build their civilization and everything. But if you notice in the story, as like the mural or whatever keeps moving to the right, the stars which were from the mountain, like those little stars or like those little word thingies, they start to fade away. They were a lot stronger in the start, like when that creation bit happened, and they started to fade away, which apparently represented the fact that they were moving away from the mountain's source of power and were like trying to be self-sufficient without it. And what that meant is that there was scarcity for this red cloth thing, and then there was infighting, and then they made those stone guardian creatures to fight each other, which led to a war that killed and basically wiped out the entire population. Which is where you see like a little mural of all the little white robe people underneath the sand, and then their civilization was covered in sand to represent that their civilization was wiped out, and that our little character, the red dude, is supposed to be the savior of this place, and then that has come to restore everything.
Mm.
And apparently, there's a thing where the inspiration for the entire game feels not religious, but like spiritual in a sense, and it takes from like Eastern and Western, so people see it as like uh, people relate to it on various different levels. They were saying how Western people relate more with like Christianity. So they like see the little red dude as like a messiah coming to save the civilization, and then Eastern people see it as like a self-reflection and that you're learning to improve on yourself and that the top of the mountain is enlightenment.
Mm, yeah. It also tracks that Eastern people probably also interpret it as reincarnation instead of
Yeah.
full on ascension.
Indeed.
Mm, yeah, there was definitely a feeling of religious theme without being religious, without
Yeah.
having any like references to religion.
That's why I said
Yeah,
spiritual rather than.
Yeah, I think spiritual is a better way to
yeah,
put it. Spiritual
spiritual,
is a nice way to
spiritual.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, it's religion, but at its like core of like what is religion about, which is
Yeah.
spirituality.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and the abstract elements of the story. The fact that the game is abstract does allow that all like all the. I'm joking by the way, Sachin, about saying you're
Uh,
not unique.
no. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, I also like. I think my thinking was a bit closer to Anuk's, but because I played the game three
Multiple times.
times, I understood the story more and more each time I went through the cutscenes.
Oh yeah, and also you can find like those panels which you can light up and it tells you a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
so some
glyphs.
people will miss those, and I think I missed a few.
Yeah. So like,
Uh,
I think the more you play it, the more you understand. Also.
yeah, yeah. The game's lack of like concrete details is very intentional. I think the game makers want you to say what you want to say about what you just experienced, and that's cool. That's cool. Especially when the game itself, if you have no interest in interpreting anything, it's still good. It's still interesting. Uh, and cool. The creatures of the world. I would love to know what. Oh, there are creatures in the world. I know it. I guess you mentioned the creatures of the world.
Yeah, we
Uh,
did.
all right. So the thing I wanted to bring up was the co-op element of the story. Because it's not really like explicitly to, told like this is even a theme of the story. The fact you can't see their name, in fact you can't communicate with them besides using gameplay elements. Uh, it really boils down the cooperation element of the game to cooperation and nothing else. There's no way to really mess with the other person. It's only to help the other person. And when I was playing the game, whenever I had a co-op partner, it was a lot easier. The game was a lot easier because you could get that juice a lot more.
Yeah.
The game became a lot easier. And then whenever I didn't have a partner, I was like, oh man, I have to slowly walk over to this carpet thing and then get the power and all this. And then at the very end, uh, you have to struggle against the wind when you have nobody, as Anuk said. Uh, the thing that I realized with this co-op element, because I don't know if the game makers were intentionally saying this. However, the fact that they added a co-op element where they do, and it is hidden where you don't know who you're playing with, uh, tells me that this theme of cooperation is inbuilt into the game, into the themes of the game. Uh, what am I trying to get at? Uh, I feel like it communicates. Uh, Let me try and who's the guy who made The Sims? Who's the guy who made The Sims? I'm forgetting his name.
Will Wright.
Will Wright. I was watching a trailer for his masterclass because I like watching the trailers for masterclasses and never getting them.
This.
And he was he was
Okay.
saying, and he said in that trailer, games as an art form have an ability to conjure emotions in people that you could not conjure in any other art form. For example, in a film or in a book, you can really just empathize with the person, with the characters in the story. If they feel sad or if the story is sad, you can empathize with those emotions. Whereas with a game, you can conjure up emotions like guilt because you do something and feel guilty about it. You can't feel that with a movie. You can't feel guilty watching a movie because you didn't do anything in the movie.
Yeah.
You can't feel guilty reading a book because you didn't do anything. What do you? Games have that unique power to conjure emotions in you like that. When I was playing this game, I felt the emotion that I should like. I felt like I needed to uh, play with somebody. I feel like I needed help. Uh, and that this game I can do it alone. I can get through it alone. But why would you? It's so much easier with another person. And it's not like you're getting a different that much of a different experience. It's not like, oh, it's a challenge. It's just a struggle. And near the end of the game, it is like a struggle and a slog to get through on your own. But if you had a person with you, uh, you can get through it better. And it made me realize just how amazing the fact that this game communicated the theme of working together gets the job done.
I think
You don't have to go at it alone.
yeah. I think what that thing that you experienced, right? I think like we'll make this a different section. Is I feel like each of us again should like kind of go around explaining what the game made you feel, because I feel like again like everyone felt something different. Like I think I only mentioned this to Akshan, and like I really started to think about it when Dilanta asked me whether the game is worth playing a second time.
Right.
And I thought about it for a bit. And I was like, I thought about it from the usual way I would think of a game. I was like, nothing really changes. Like, once you play a puzzle game, you know how the mechanics work and you know how to get, like, basically, a puzzle game is like difficult the first time you play it. The second time you play it, you can basically speed run it because you know how things work and you can go about it really fast. But then I thought back.
And you can apply that. You can apply that to a lot of games, like even like a first-person shooter. Like, like everything's easier because you know how to use the mechanics.
Yeah, but then I thought about my second and like even the third playthrough, and I was like, my first playthrough, I was just there for the journey. I was like, all right, the destination is the mountaintop. Focus is there. Let's get there. Let's see what's there. Right. Like that was my initial thing. I was like, just make my way to the end. Weirdly enough, after finishing it and playing it the second time, it made me want to. It made me, weirdly enough, it made me cherish the. It's
Journey?
yes. it's the cheese.
Cherish the what?
The journey. Like
Cherish the journey.
you know that really cheesy quote that's like it's about the journey and not the destination. I
Not about
felt
this.
that, and I was like, why?
Right.
I was like, why am I feeling this? I was like, this is really weird. I was like, it's not even intentional. It's like, okay, this game made me feel a way that I didn't think I would, and like,
It's about the journey.
Okay.
like that was my experience.
I definitely feel what you feel. I played it only once though, but I did feel like this game conjured emotions and feelings within me that only like high art, like art does, or like a movie or a friggin' piece of music, where I don't feel like I'm playing it for the challenge, for the dopamine rush of, oh, I got a headshot. It feels more like it was because I want to just feel the emotions that the game was giving me again, or different emotions, knowing things secondhand.
Yeah, and like weirdly enough, like each playthrough, even though gameplay wise is the same, I feel like the co-op element makes it unique.
Core element does make it unique, yeah.
So weird.
This game, when you not recommended when you chose it, a part of me was like, I'm scared, I'm worried that this game would have aged not that great. In a way, like what's this? Like it. I was imagining that the game was lauded. Lauded? Yeah, lauded. Lauded means loved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was lauded for being unique, being like it had a mechanic in it, and it had a gameplay thing that no other game did, and then it did it, and then indie games were inspired by it. They did their own thing version of it, and they made it better. So I was worried that I had played enough games that going to this game, it feels like backtracking and I'm playing like a worse indie game that I've already played. But this game was so smart with its details, with its theming, it had such a potent punch, uh, where everything worked together so well that none of that entered my brain. This feels like a great. This is a timeless game. There's nothing about it that can or will age in my mind.
Right, now with that out of the way, Anuk, Dilantha.
You guys just waxing lyrical here. Anup, did you also feel overwhelming feelings when you played this
Can I
game?
be a poet in this scenario?
When you were in the museum looking at the artworks, were you also feeling this way?
I felt very emotional and my tears were running down my cheeks. No, no, it was,
Nah.
no, it was. I mean, I've only played once, so I can't really give an opinion like how maybe Seshan is. I mean, Seshan has played like
I
two or
played
three
it once.
times. I mean, no, okay. The way Seshan has given his opinion about it is like he's played multiple times and he's felt the journey a little bit more as when he played more often, right? Whereas when you played once, the feel of the game is different, right? Like you don't really feel those emotions. Those emotions aren't as strong as you
Yeah,
played multiple times as what
because
Seshan
yeah,
played.
like what I think it's a lot like the fact that like I only recognize it when Dilantha told me, like when Dilantha made me
You're
think
saying I
about it.
made you feel. I made
Wow.
you feel.
No, you made me think about it. I was like, what? At the start, I was just like, good game. Like, wait. Huh?
Wait, it actually made me feel something inside.
Brain have emotion.
Anyways, continue on.
No, but yeah. So I mean, there was feelings to as in like you are part of a journey. You are finishing a journey towards the end with someone else, or it being by yourself. But it wasn't as powerful as maybe Seshan or Akshan explained. Is my take because I only played
Hmm.
once. So maybe if I played more, it would have been a bit of a different experience.
Maybe.
Some people also, I
Hmm.
mean, like Akshan felt it his first time as well. So I guess different people also feel it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dilantha.
Yeah, I didn't care for any of that.
Such a
Wow.
poet with your words.
No, it's not that. To be honest, again, it's a fantastic. I feel like we're going into our like recommendation at this point.
I mean, without
Can
saying that,
you guess
just
what we're gonna
We're
say?
not, huh?
no.
Can you guess what we're gonna say for ratings?
Well, obviously, you're going to say yes. I mean, you can't give that whole explanation and then go, yeah, don't play this game.
You just might
That'd be
not
fun.
leave
never
it.
know.
Might be good.
Never know.
Anyways, just like give us your experience without giving too much away.
Yeah, it was good. It was great, but not again. I'm not saying there's another game like it out there.
Mm.
I don't think there is. In fact, there's one that I really wanted to try. I don't know if you guys heard this name coming up while you were like looking it up, but it's called Sky Children of the Light
Yeah.
by the game company. Yeah, so I think that's an MMO which is kind of based on this a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
At least it's like concept and but more into a social aspect and stuff like that. So I really wanted to play that before this, but obviously time and stuff didn't let that happen. I feel like again, there is no game that you can compare to it. But at the same time, I feel like we also have kind of moved on from games like this. So I didn't really feel too much for it like that. Like it felt great to play it finally after hearing about it so much. But I didn't feel that strongly about it. Like
I think.
it was
No,
great,
go on.
but didn't feel like I didn't feel the overwhelming. Maybe it's because right now with everything I'm playing alongside it, it felt like it was it was a good experience. I think the fact that it's 2 hours also helps it to like if it was longer, I would have been like I wouldn't feel like positively towards it.
Mm.
But I feel like the way it's designed and with its time, like it works. But
Let
I also
me
feel like time is not on its side for that one. So
let me add something. When you say, what do you call, you didn't feel that strongly about it. I myself did not like openly weep or anything. I did not.
no,
I
I know
did
you
not.
didn't openly weep, but the fact that you and Sasha were
I
able
mean,
to
hey,
talk like that
hey.
is
The thing is, like,
it's great.
when
It's great.
when
It's
I
great.
first
Like
finished playing it,
yeah, yeah.
I did not have like an overwhelming emotional like swell of like, oh my god, that was good. What happened was I just was like after thinking about the game, like when it ended and the credits were rolling, I was just thinking about the whole experience and how everything connected together, and it made me and how my emotions like they were small emotions, whatever the emotions were. They were sometimes big, like when I was like, oh my god, he left the game. My god, that was sad. Uh, F's in the chat. But like all those emotions, like when I was thinking about how the game like connected everything together, it felt like such a smart, uh wholly connected piece. It there are games that made me feel bigger, but there are not games that made me feel like so perfectly encapsulating what this game like made me feel. I felt like I was directed through an experience that had absolutely like every single time I think about it, there's like I have more things of interest to think about this game.
See, that's kind of why I say that time is not really on this game's side, because the fact that, again, this is not a criticism. It's more like the fact that you had to take the time to think about it and felt it. That's fine. I can't imagine a lot of people doing that nowadays, because if any, like,
Mm.
especially people who play video games, right? If you play a bunch of games like in a constant this thing, in a constant like row, you play this game, maybe it captures you something, you play it again, you get achievements, whatever. For this one, if you play it, if you don't spend that time thinking about it and move on, like, okay, I'm gonna play Abzu next or something else, you might not really appreciate what it does well. So the fact, like, if you people should spend the time and I guess think about it. Like
I
that's what I
would
should have done.
I
But I
would
feel like
disagree with that.
nowadays
I
people
would
don't do that
No,
enough.
I agree with
I
Velanta when you mean by that, and I don't know whether I want
I
to make this a social commentary, but like,
think
uh,
I know what you're gonna say.
but like, yeah, like I
Save
get
it for
what,
the Patreon, Seshan. Save it for the Patreon. We don't have one. It's a meme.
but I
So.
get what you mean. Like everyone nowadays is in a bit of a rush in order to like, it's
Also, when this game came out, there was absolutely nothing like it. Like if you see the games it was competing against, like in at the Dice Awards, it was like Far Cry 3, what is Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and like all these, like, regular AAA stuff.
mm,
So obviously it's going to stand out. Whereas
now.
its indie type is now,
Uh,
again, nothing I was also trying to find like games which are like it, and of course you came up with Sky, Abzu, Gris, stuff like that. I don't think those, even though I haven't played most of them, don't compare to this, but they're kind of similar enough where maybe it gets taken away nowadays. So
Yeah,
again,
but like it's
I
a
would
it's an old enough
I
game that yeah. You want
I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. People like there's like high saturation of games and like that like you just move from one to the next, one to the next, and the next and the next. But I would disagree just because I've seen the discourse around games nowadays and it seems to be trending a little bit more into uh uh away from the late 2010s, which the late 2010s and early 2020s felt like, which were currently in the early 2020s. Hello, welcome to the 2020s. Uh, we're moving away from the constant, what do you, I don't know what the
dopamine
what,
fix of bing, bing,
yeah,
bing.
dopamine, like, okay. kill, kill, kill that ratio, everything. Like people are getting tired of the model, the gaming models, which is just it's a toy. Play it as much. Just play this toy as much as possible. We are getting to a point where some like what was one of the most lauded games last year? It was Alan Wake 2. And what is Alan Wake 2? It's a game which is a story about a rider who goes into another dimension. No spoilers. And goes and interacts with other characters, but then interacts with a metaverse, not the metaverse, a metaverse, with the game maker and all of this stuff. And that game, sort of like that game is great beyond playing the game. Like you thinking about the game is great. I feel like we're trending towards uh, a world in which games are treated a lot more for their artistic like prowess, more so than their is it fun prowess.
But
Which
even
this
then,
game,
right? Sorry. Yeah, finish your point. Yeah, sorry. Shouldn't have interrupted.
like this game came out and it was a big surprise just because it was so different from like all the other like AAA titles, like as you said. But I think this game is not this game. If it came out today, it would not have the punch that it did back then.
Yeah.
But it would. But I think that especially like the gaming public as a whole, it would have still sparked a conversation about the game. I think it would like when Celeste was nominated for Game of the Year. It was a small indie game, but it was nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that like gaming has evolved a lot since the days of Journey's original release. So
Yes.
in a good and a bad way. Like
Yes.
we are seeing more people gravitate to games like this, which is great. It also has led to more games like this being developed, which is also good.
Yes.
But it also means that sometimes some unique experiences do get
Brushed over.
Shafted.
brushed over. For example, there might be another Journey like game which we haven't even heard of, just because of the
Indeed.
rush of like. And it's a shame, but hopefully, one day maybe we'll discover it somewhere.
To be fair to this game, like it's a great game in my mind. But the attention it received, I have a feeling the fact that it was a Sony exclusive, like Sony pushed this game, helped it.
Yeah, it was a Sony published game and stuff. But I also think it's because at the time, like
Because it's
it
great.
also came off the back of Flower and what's the other one? The
Nude Colony.
other game company game. So yeah, I mean
Yes.
that's what it is. Is Sashank going to do the social commentary, or we'll save that for the?
I wanted to read a review that I saw on Steam.
Oh yeah.
I read it to Akshan yesterday. This user's review of Journey had me thinking about the game even more. Do I mention his name on Steam? No.
Let's
No.
not do
No,
that. Let's not do
If
that.
you really want to know his name, go. Actually, no. He put it in a public forum. Say his name. Screw him.
Don't say that.
I mean, like it's his review. I might as well like say his name.
Just say.
Yeah. So his name is Kide Mundo.
Oh, the first one is.
Yeah, it's the first one. So it goes like this. I can't review this. I just can't. I could do it with Gris. I could do it with The Pathless. I can't do it with Journey. I cannot review this game as a game, and I don't think I can review it as a piece of art. This is not something to be completed. It is something to be experienced. It is the single most beautiful game I have played so far. Not because of the graphics or the gameplay, but because of the way it made me feel. The pure wonder and childlike happiness as a cloth creature fluttered out of its cage. The awkward, giggly feeling of saying a single word over and over again. The joy of learning how to help my companion. The sadness of losing them twice. The loneliness of watching my scarf deplete, not having a friend to help. The elation of seeing a little fuzzy blob appear on the side of my screen, telling me a friend was nearby. The frantic rush as we both called out for each other and trying to find out where we were. The security knowing a fellow traveler was by my side as my movement slowed. The joy of getting to the end with someone else by my side. You cannot review that. Rate that on a scale of 1 to 10. It's called Journey, and man does it live up to its name. That, as this was me and Akshan when we read this, was like, This is what we felt, but like bit toned down.
A little bit extreme versions of what we felt. Yes.
But
I
like,
think it's closer to down, but yes.
but like, it really amazes me that a game makes people feel this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I think.
games an art style. If you can
No,
capture the
yes,
emotions perfectly, then you have hit your audience nicely. And
no. I completely agree with you. Even when I talk to other people about forms of art, I most often say that like gaming is a step above and like almost like I wouldn't say the superior, but like they are somewhat a step above in terms of even like movies and TV shows because it's a more interactive experience. But like even knowing that, I have never seen a game thus far do this to so many
Utilize.
people. Not like me, I can understand, right? Like because personal, subjective experiences that that's a whole different talk. But like this is like the vast majority of people that have played this game have experienced this, which is
Yeah.
odd. It's a good type of
Yeah.
odd, but it's odd.
I think
Yeah.
that's good. It's good that a
I
lot
feel
of
like
people feel this way.
games need to like take a few lessons from what do you call take a few lessons from games like these, and they have like there's so many good games like nowadays, like so many great games coming out. But to compare with film, if you wouldn't mind, when film was going was like starting out, people went to the movie theater for the fun of it because they were just like, "Oh, the picture can move." It was crazy, man. And they went to see it. They went to see a 6-second film about a train because they were like, "Oh, the picture can move," and that was the whole thing. It was for the fun of it. But then, as film evolved, they started to get more serious, started to make like more serious things. However, they took influence from theater, and so usually it was just filming like just a flat thing, and the actors moved about a stage, and they just filmed it. It took other filmmakers like Kurosawa, Wells to really take the art form and make it unique in a way that only film could. Video games, early stages, they took inspiration from film a little bit. That's why you have things like cutscenes. That's why you have things like the camera, like being positioned in ways like a film. Uh, and early 2010s, that's what the feeling like. That's what I feel it was like. They were taking like the cues, the pacing of the scenes, the dialogue, all of that felt like movies. Journey, nothing like a movie. It is wholeheartedly a work of art as a game. You cannot make this work of art cannot be a book, cannot be a film. It can only be a game because it makes use of the fact that it is a game to its most. And I think we're treading in a direction where games are finding its own artistically, in the same way film did in the 50s. And I'm excited because it feels great. Great games right now feel great as an art form. But I know that there is like an explosion of art of artistic prowess to be seen with games in the future. So I have no idea what it's gonna be, but I'm excited to see it. Kojima, get to it.
I think with that we should just
If
move
there's
on now.
anything you can
Akshan.
take away from this episode, Kojima, get to work. That's all you need to know.
Akshan, let's just move on now. We've been too stuck on this.
No, I feel like this game is like deserves like talking about this because it's a short game as well. Anyway, let's jump into. We're coming near the end, but before we get to our ratings, Mr. Achievement Hunter himself, Anup,
Hmm.
tell us.
Anuk, tell us
Yes.
how do you feel to get all
Tell
the
us
achievements?
how do you get all these achievements?
Well,
I don't know. I had a help of one of my friends named Sashan.
yes. Did you
Yeah,
know?
yes.
Thank you. Um, achievements.
There aren't any. Thank you for no.
No,
Thank
there are. Only 14
On
achievements. But like I think, like I mentioned before, most times when I play the game, one time is a blind playthrough. So if I miss achievements, obviously I think a lot of these achievements you can get in one playthrough if you really want to try. But it spoils a whole lot of the game, and there are some elements of it that are, what's the word? Difficult because it's based on having a co-op player. But it was mostly easy to get. In like 2 or 3 playthroughs, you could probably get it. Nothing's really difficult. There are some collectibles and points of interest that you need to find in the game, which through the help of guides you can obviously get. It doesn't add. I think the points of interest add things to the story. Then there are like little items that you to collect that can make your scarf longer, so you can fly longer. But like other than that, everything else felt pretty okay. Like I wouldn't say it's a really hard game to even get achieved. But there was one
100%.
there was one achievement that I didn't really understand what it meant. You know the level where it's just like desert and you're like unlocking these little carpet creatures as you
Oh, yeah.
there's a section in that desert where there's like a little flower. There's a little flower in the
Okay.
desert, like just a lone flower. And when you touch it, it makes a chime like you.
Um,
Maybe someone who died along the way. That's them.
maybe.
Yeah, that was like the one odd thing, and the other one I gave the other one Anup also got when both of us played was that massive tower of light. Once you complete all the levels and just before you go to the next cutscene, if you go all the way down to the one before the last level, there's this ancient cloth creature that you can interact with, which also I think kind of shows how old the civilization of this world is. So there are little hidden bits of lore, I would say, in the achievements. Again, but everything's so abstract that you can't really make out what it's meant to be. But in terms of actually achieving these achievements, it's not really difficult.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was getting all the achievements?
Uh, it's
1 being
say
easiest.
one being easy. I'm gonna say like 2 or 3 because some of them require you to actually get a companion. So it's either you find a friend with the game and you try to somehow get into the
Meet each other.
same. Yeah, you somehow try to meet each other. Me and Anup tried a few times, but on the last attempt we managed to get it. So that was fine.
Nice.
Otherwise, you need to hope that your co-op partner is willing.
Never leaves.
Yeah.
Willing and able.
Willing and able. All right. So that was our thoughts and achievements. Let's go into the ratings. Try it or skip it. Seshan, you pick the game. You start us.
Well, after saying so many good things about it, there's obviously only one thing I could say. Skip, try it.
You said both, so I guess don't do anything.
No, joking. Obviously, this it feels corny to say. Like each time I'm thinking about this damn game,
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll eat your corn. Say it.
it just I just thought it was a good game, and I was like,
That's not you make it sound like it's a bad thing. It's fine. It's good that you thought that.
but it's like it's you don't understand, right? It's weird. Like you know the feeling you're having, right, about this game.
Yeah.
That's what I
Wait,
had
wait,
until you asked me the question.
So what you're saying is it's my fault.
I'm not blaming you, but like
So it's my fault.
It's all my fault. Yeah.
but
It's your blessing.
it's just weird that reflecting on it makes
Made it better.
yeah, and like it's not just I feel weird about it because uh it's not just about the game, but like it draws a parallel to life which just scares me.
Isn't that any
I'm
art
not sure
form?
what you mean by that. However, I'm not going to question it.
No. What I meant by that is like even the quote that I said, right? Like people say it's about the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah.
specific quote is a parallel to what life is. Like you're always
Yeah, that's what.
aiming for something, so you should just enjoy the journey to get there instead of the actual destination. And like this is that phrase taken form in a game.
hey, some of the best art affects you stronger than you would ever have
So
anticipated.
if it isn't obvious, it's a try it for me.
What? That's lovely. All right, we're gonna go over to Delantha.
Oh. Okay. So, I went a couple of ways. So initially, as soon as I finished it, I remember Seshan and Anuk both asked me what I thought, and I said I'm going to save my thoughts on the podcast. If I was forced to go through at that moment, I probably would have said skip it. And I was actually kind of up until today. For those of you who don't know, we actually decided to record the podcast earlier because we have some other commitments later on, so we decided to do an early episode. Like, I think up until today, I was still very much going to say skip it today because I was not really, I was not feeling it to the level of, because I was thinking of, like, I guess the gaming sphere as a whole. Like, I feel like this was great at the time, still a good game, no complaints, but ultimately, I feel like there are still other better, maybe more diverse experiences for you to dive into at this day and age in the year of our Lord and Savior 2024. But
Thank you.
that being said, I then actually had to think of it getting ready for the podcast. I was like, you know what? Even with those thoughts in my head, it is still a phenomenal game, fantastic. It's still worth a play. It's worth the 2 hours or 3-4 hours or however many playthroughs you need. It is still worth it. So I would say try it. Good game.
Lovely. All right. Coming over to Anuk to break our hearts. I don't know.
No.
I didn't feel any emotions or skip it.
You don't feel any emotions.
You never feel emotion.
Your emotions don't come. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Wow.
Because people like you, Delantha, that he can't express himself.
Don't put that on me. What the heck?
We live in a cynical age. Everything has to be a joke now.
Anuk?
Nah.
All right, Anuk.
No, I said try it, but go in with no. I mean, not to be funny or anything about this, but like go in with no expectations, no emotions about the game. Go in
That's fair.
emotional. Actually, go in emotionless because once you go in with emotions, then you are expecting too much about the game. If you go in emotionless, you are bringing up those specific emotions as Seshan and Akshan have experienced as well.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
You know what? Sorry, just to add on, because it's good that you brought that up. I think I also went in like that. I think I read too much of like the positive praise
The
that I was
lauding.
expecting.
Best
Not
game
that
ever.
again, not that it was a letdown. Not that it was a letdown by any means. It's just that, like, I think the beauty of it is very subtle, very simplistic, that it's best to just go in as blind as possible. We say this towards the end of the podcast. We probably should have said this at the beginning, but yeah,
Yeah.
just
The beginning. I think I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, Citizen Kane is a great movie, but but it's not going to change your life.
this is the Citizen Kane of video games. There you go.
honestly, you could compare it because Journey is a great game. Just don't go in expecting like to have played the best game like ever, because it's not. Citizen Kane is a great movie because it is very smart about how it is a movie. Journey is a great game because it is smart about how it is a great game. It's not. I don't know. Far Cry 3. Like,
You're not
Far
gonna
Cry
find
3 for me
life's
is like,
purpose
oh, I love
playing this game. You just have to play the game.
Here's the thing. You might, but don't go in thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might feel that. I'm honestly amazed that it beat out Far Cry 3, Borderlands 2, Walking Dead. Like, it beat a lot of big games during that year. I guess at the time none of those games were like
Revolutionary.
they weren't. I mean,
No, well, Far Cry 3 was. Far Cry 3 was very much
Was it?
lauded back then, wasn't it? Like when it came out, we were
revolutionary.
like, oh,
I don't know if it was a
Yes, because Far Cry 3 was like the starting point
You
of
know what?
every game
Stay
having
for our Far
RPG
Cry
elements.
3. Stay for our Far Cry 3 review and find out. It's not coming
I could
anytime
probably-
soon, but stay for that.
I could pick that. It's less than 20 hours to play it.
I've already played it, so no.
But anyway, Far Cry 3, I say try it, but also Journey, I would say. I'm definitely going to give it a try. This is the kind of game that I'm glad exists. I love games that manage to use the gaming medium in an artistic way and only the way that games can. And this does that for me very much so. It also does that for me for another game that's coming up on the podcast. Speaking of, upcoming release, upcoming episode is going to be. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. You can check out our previous episodes. We have one on Core Keeper, and we have one on Viewfinder before that. Core Keeper being like a Minecraft-ish 2D game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Viewfinder being a Portal-ish puzzle game, got a similar vibe to it.
Mhm.
And our next episode is on the Outer Wilds, not the Outer Worlds, please. The Outer Wilds.
I feel like you made that joke now every single episode.
I need to. I need to.
And
Can
those
I just interject something?
goalkeeper.
Yes.
The game, because it's like an art style, there is different takes about the games. You can bring up your own conclusions about the game, which is also a good aspect about
We're
the game.
talking about Journey.
Yes, Journey.
Okay.
So rather than being a fixed point of a storyline, you can bring up your own. Not to say you can bring up your own story, but there is a different take on the story rather than being straightforward.
There's
about
no
the
wiki.
story.
There's no
Yeah,
like
there's no
canon wiki for the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you
because-
saw it from our own perspectives of the story. We all saw something different in it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Again, it's a work of art.
It's on you.
It's more.
You figure it out. Don't let us have to tell
Yeah.
everything to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
The game is
So-
most interesting when you have something to say about it. That's I think the best
There you go.
Correct.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
go ahead,
All right.
Sachin. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, Akshan mentioned some of our previous episodes. That's also, what else did we do? Episode 1 was Heavy
We Care
Rain.
Bears.
We got Heavy Rain, we got Inscription, we got Lethal Company, and The Last Campfire.
And the last campfire. Yeah.
Last Campfire. Yeah.
This is
Those are also games.
yeah. Check those out if you like this. Hopefully, Outer Wilds is gonna be what? I don't know. I know nothing about Outer
Good.
Wilds.
Hopefully it's gonna be good. We're
Yeah.
going in with no expectations.
You know what?
We're
You
going
know what?
with
In the spirit of talk about Journey, just play it.
Just be along for the journey. And if you like this video,
play it.
please leave a like. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on Spotify, follow.
Subscribe.
I don't know.
Rate
you're
it.
watching this-
Rate it 5 stars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're watching this on the plane of Singapore Airlines, just tell the pilot, can you to make a turn so that you can get a better connection as you listen to the next episode.
Uh-huh.
That's a very specific that's a very specific request, but okay.
Hey, look, we're partnered with
No.
Oh, don't.
I didn't finish the sentence. Anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Check out our previous
Thank you
episode.
for
Check out if we've
watching.
uploaded the next episode. Bada bing, bada boom. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.